Cool.
Lovely. Everyone, welcome to Matthew and Nathan from Medina Lake. Matthew, Nathan, welcome to your Set in the Tone debut. Thank you very much for joining me. Absolute pleasure to have you.
Thank you for
Pleasure.
having us.
Not a problem. Um, we're here today because obviously just a small matter of Medina Lake turning 20 years this year, which is that blows my mind. Absolutely blows my mind. And obviously to celebrate, you'll be coming over matter of weeks now. Absolutely a matter of weeks with Greywind supporting on the UK run, which is going to be absolutely loads of fun, no doubt. I feel it's only right to kind of go back to the beginning to talk about this 20-year journey, because when I was kind of typing my notes together for this interview, it kind of just astounded me the journey of Medina Lake, and what a ride! Absolutely, what a ride!
Yeah.
um, so obviously, before you both know this, but before Medina Lake, there was a band called Blank Theory and a band called Reformer. Obviously, yourself and Nathan were part of Blank Theory, and we had Dan and Matteo that were part of Reformer, and obviously Matteo and Dan relocated to Chicago. Both of your bands would often tour together because I believe you shared the same tour manager all them years ago, and that's kind of how this birth of Medina Lake started. But before that, this is a fact I didn't know. You both went on a game show called, I think it was Fear Factory Twins, to win some money to put together the first Medina Lake EP. So we're going to start there. Firstly, how do you find a game show to do that? And what a way to
It's
fund
weird,
your
isn't it?
demo. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
I mean,
We have a
it was to us, it was as weird as you could get because we didn't even know we applied to get on it. A friend of ours saw that this show, Fear Factor, was looking for twins for their special twin edition. And I should also reiterate that we had never seen the show really prior to that. I mean, maybe in passing, but we certainly didn't know what would be required of us. So this guy, our friend, submit as us. He did the whole application process, and we get a call out of nowhere, and they're like, "This is so and so from Fear Factor," and we're like, we initially thought it was Fear Factory, the band, and we were potentially up for a tour of sorts. You know, we were very excited
can I
initially.
can I just color in a little bit? We were
Please,
driving we were driving to like rehearsal in Chicago and we were fighting about something. Do you remember?
I do.
Like we were screaming at each other. It was just the two of us, and then my phone rang and it said like NBC, the network, you know? And I was like, hold on, shut up, shut up, shut up. Why would NBC be calling? And then I answered on speaker and we were like, what?
Yeah,
From where?
it was very, very confusing. But
Crazy.
long
Carry on.
story short, we, did a couple of interviews or whatever, and then yeah, they flew us out to California, and what played out was stretched over a month and a half, if I'm not mistaken, the recording of it because we got sick halfway through. Everybody did on account of
Yeah,
one of the
got a flesh
stunts we had
eating
to do.
we got a flesh-eating disease swimming in a trench filled with dead cow's parts, so we were all in the hospital. Had to fly home, recover, and then fly back for the last stunt.
Yeah, because that's definitely how you're going to get a disease if you're going to go swimming in those sort of
Yeah,
parts.
Yeah, yeah, that's the way to get it.
Exactly. That clearly was in the small print of the game show contract, clearly.
oh my,
Oh, you want to know
we
what's
had to
hilarious
sign
is
contracts this thick.
we were in the hospital, and again, there was like three other sets of twins. Uh, Two of them that got in the trench, they were in there. Uh, the stunt guys that tested it the night before, they were in there, and then a bunch of NBC lawyers.
Yeah,
They were all in the hospital trying to get us to sign more documents.
yeah, because we had these infectious blood diseases, and you could see on everybody exactly where they were because your veins turned like bright red. So they would mark with a Sharpie where the infection was going, you know? So everyone was just like, I don't care, just stop, just make it stop, you know? And I
Yeah,
remember mine like racing right through my pubic line. Like it gets to your heart and you know, they
yeah.
just kept pumping us full of antibiotics and finally it went away.
And obviously, the result of the game show was The Disappearance Adam, which came out in, I think, October the 3rd, 2006. What are your memories of making this? Was this your first professional recording, going to a studio for the first time and putting down music?
So to go back to your opening statement, the bands Blank Theory and Reforma, the story with that was we shared a manager, and Mateo and Dan were in Reforma. Nathan and I were in this band Blank Theory, we were not a very good band, and we were on a very very bad record label, and thankfully we got dropped. But so we were in Chicago, like, oh shit, now what do we do? And we became friends with these two guys, and Reforma, their band was like the hot new thing. And so our manager totally like dropped us and was focusing on them for they were going to showcase for Virgin. And Nathan and I were like, we can't let them get signed. Like, no way. Like, we need those guys, you know? And like, we'll just say they blew the showcase, thankfully, and we were, lamenting about that fact, hanging out on one of our rooftops during the summer, like, oh great, now our musical careers are fucked. What are we gonna do? And we decided to join a band together. And man, the first time we got into a studio together, we wrote. I would say we wrote at least all the songs on from them in over the course of 2 weeks. It was just the
Yeah,
honeymoon phase.
came
And
together really quickly.
yeah, and that we were familiar with the studio in Wisconsin from the Pumpkins recording there. So we were like, let's just spend the money and make a demo, and well, by golly, it worked.
Do, do
Smart
you,
studio.
was it a kind of a learning curve? Do you feel you had to learn very quickly? Almost almost like an apprenticeship, kind of. Going in and making this EP, this demo.
Yeah, we had a little bit of recording experience with the previous band. I think we made our first and only record with Blink Theory in New York with James Eha and Adam Schlesinger. So that was like a month and a half of that, but it was like we effectively started from scratch, and Mateo and Dan, this was their first professional studio experience, and we funded it with the money we won from the game show, so we were on our own dime. So we kind of had to make it work. And yeah, there's a learning curve to be sure, but I don't know, there was an enthusiasm about our project and what we were doing, and we had a clear vision, and um, we were all, very, very quickly the best of friends. So it came together really great in those days. It was really wonderful.
Like, when you start dating somebody new and you have like that sort of natural high on life, and it's not the honeymoon phase of a relationship.
Hmm.
I mean, as for heterosexual men, we were enjoying a nice four-way honeymoon.
Soon enough, you become married to four dudes, and the misery starts quickly after
Imagine the composition, all the bad
Oh.
parts of a marriage without like one good part.
Crazy. And obviously, shortly after that, you're signed to Roadrunner, which must have been a huge boost of confidence because Roadrunner at this time, they were like, in my eyes, they were this big heavy metal label. There was bands like Slipknot, Trivium. I can't think of everyone, but it was loads and loads.
Oh
So
yeah.
it must have felt like a huge boost of confidence and kind of like, how have we got here? How have we got to Roadrunner, with all these label mates?
It's it's a great question. Roadrunner at the time had, well, probably several years prior, decided they were so successful with their niche of metal that they decided they wanted to try to break into commercial, music. And so they brought in an A&R guy named Ron Berman, and he signed a band called Nickelback.
Hmm.
Obviously, everybody knows what happened with Nickelback. Wait, it's a funny story. Look at this picture frame I have here.
As if it was already
He's
on
a
hand. I love that.
Yeah. He's a super fan. It appears.
Yeah, it just sort of worked out.
Good on you.
Oh, I love
So,
that.
so the label had to be like two parts. They decided they would use Ron Berman, the with the magic ear to sign commercial bands and try to break the commercial successes while they kept their niche, going with the metal bands. So, and I mean, we were good friends with like all the metal. We met all those cats, and we like it was great.
Yeah, they're all amazing.
Do you feel any, or did you feel any pressure at the time, obviously putting your debut album out on Roadrunner? Because obviously the EP, the demo was obviously money that you'd won for a game show, but this time this is the real deal now. This is people investing heavily into this band, and it's you want to put a good representation of Medina Lake out there.
Yeah,
Yeah, that pressure is enormous. Matthew,
and
you were saying.
well, we had already epically failed once, with the first band. So I think it was, it was nerve wracking and had all the pressure and everything. But it was also like we knew the first band was not right. We didn't have the right chemistry or the right players. We weren't doing what we loved,
Yeah.
and we had the great fortune in this situation of being like, musically in love with each other. So it just the whole thing felt so right that there was really no time to feel we
Yeah,
stopped
that's a
reading
good
message
point.
boards.
Yeah. Plus, we stopped reading message boards.
Yeah, because God, that's
Which will destroy your soul in
yeah.
like zero point 0.2
If I could give
seconds flat.
any advice to emerging artists, do not read comments. Don't do it.
Crazy. And that hasn't necessarily changed in this day and age. It's just called social media now, just a different
Right.
platform.
100%.
Yeah, message boards anymore.
And obviously, the album title of the debut is From Them For Us to You, which I think came out in 2006. Looking back at the
2007.
memories, what do you have memory-wise of making this album? Because for me, when I first heard this album, I felt it had a lot of energy, a lot of passion, and it had like a hunger, like most bands when they're putting their debut album out. You can feel that
Yeah.
hunger, that intensity.
Yeah. Well, it was wild because we recorded that in Los Angeles with Mark Trombino, who is amazing as a producer. But it was funny because we drove all the way out there, our van and trailer. We drove from Chicago all the way to Los Angeles, which is like a 27-hour drive or something, if memory serves. And we get all the way out there, and of course we're like ready, we're thrilled, we're like ready to go. And we check into this extended stay where the label had basically got us housing, for the next month and a half while we made the record. And as we pulled up in there, we're like, seems weird, It's kind of a strange vibe to the neighborhood, but
There's
nevertheless,
in a town called Compton, if you've ever heard of that.
no, it
I
was
have
not.
heard of Compton. It's an interesting neighborhood. I think it's
Well, yeah. So it was similar, right? Okay, in that vibe, but hilariously naive as we were, we like brought all of our shit up to the room, which was on the third of four floors, and I remember me and Jeezy put on like our shorts and running shoes. We were gonna go out for a little run, but across the way, the building was U-shaped. We're looking out over our balcony, and at the balcony straight across and one floor up on the fourth floor was this massive party going off. It's like boom, boom, boom. We're like, sweet. But man, if a dude did not jump off the balcony, off his own balcony to escape a bunch of other dudes that were apparently chasing him.
Yeah.
And we're watching. This is the first day we got there. We're watching
The
this
first
dude
5 minutes.
basically, yeah, splats on the ground. I mean, he moved a little bit after that. I don't know how everything, but the next thing was just paramedics, ambulance, stretcher, gone,
I mean,
and
we had
cops everywhere.
we had two rooms, connecting rooms, and we were gonna go get something to eat. And we were like, all right, meet in the hallway. And I remember I opened the door, and this
Oh
dude
yeah.
just goes flying by right in front of my eyes. Whoa, like chased by three cops.
Yeah, three coppers. That was amazing. Huffing and puffing. Yeah, that
So
was
I called the
wild.
label, and I was like, this isn't gonna work. Can you get us somewhere like at the Oakwoods? Which is this
Yeah.
famous place where like all models and musicians go to record or shoots. And God bless them, they moved us there, and that was just wonderful.
All
Yeah,
I can
that's
say
a
is thank goodness they did, because if you had 6 months in Compton, that debut album would have sounded a whole lot different,
lot
Whole
different.
right?
lot
It would have had a whole different vibe.
Whole different vibe.
different subject matter, the whole deal.
Maybe it would have been called From Them Through Us to You, Snoop Dogg, or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Crazy, absolutely crazy. And obviously, then the debut album comes out, a lot of touring, a lot of eyes, and a lot of kind of push to yourselves. We then move forward to 2010 to 2013, which I feel is probably the toughest period of time for yourselves. And I'm going to try and be a bit gentle because there's some sensitive
No
stuff
need.
in this. So,
Yeah, go
uh,
for it.
obviously, the desert, I hope I pronounced this correctly, the Dresden Codex came out, which was touted as a bit of an earlier sound to obviously From Them for Us to You. Would you have agreed with that? Was that kind of more of a harping back to the earlier Medina Lake sound?
Yeah, I think so. With in every way except the the whole attitude and vibe of us as a band and where we were when we wrote the first record versus where we were when we wrote Dresden. We wrote most of that in like essentially an abandoned house in South Florida,
Oh
and it
yeah,
was just a dark period. In the it actually was just kind of the beginning, right? I mean, we had some great years in between, um, but yeah, the songs I think came from that mentality, but in just a totally different time, which is, with fear of stating the obvious, it's just fascinating how life circumstance affects art and you know, we
yeah.
can change.
Like listening to that, I rarely ever listen to our records, but one came on the other day just through the Spotify algorithm or whatever, and I think it was like Rite of Passage. You remember that, Nathan? On
Yeah, yeah, I do.
And it's wild. It takes you, like the neural pathways, the audio just takes you immediately back to that time, and it was kind of shocking. It was jarring to hear
Yeah.
that, and whoa, I may or may not have gotten a little emotional.
And that's fine because, unfortunately, correct me if I'm wrong here, guys, but the Roadrunner deal comes to an end. And in fairness, I think at that time, Roadrunner was kind of felt like it was winding down anyway for a lot of artists.
Yeah,
Um,
Yeah.
and obviously, thankfully, Sony pick you up, which is fantastic. Do you feel at that time when obviously the announcement of Roadrunner unfortunately dropping Medina Lake, do you think there was a change in the company? Do you think maybe some of the faces that you were used to perhaps were different and maybe they didn't understand Medina Lake as the previous people did?
Yeah, well,
totally. Yeah,
what was
oh,
unfortunate about it is, and we've always said, and we'll say this day, Roadrunners the best label on the planet. They were incredible, but they'd just gone through a change in distribution. Matthew, correct me if I'm wrong. I think we
yeah.
went from Island, like an Island Def Jam, Universal or something, to uh,
We Roadrunner became like a subsidiary of Atlantic, so they
yeah,
have
of
their
Atlantic.
they had their, instead of Roadrunner, which had its in-house radio promotions team and marketing staff and product managers and everything, suddenly had all Atlantic's radio department had taken over all of that. And we're the type of band where like we build up a rapport with everybody that we work with, and we become really tight. So like I remember our radio promotions guy, Aaliyah. Um, oh my God, we had so much fun with him. Like in 2007, he got us doing some hosting stuff at the MTV Awards, and it's like he's like old school, like how you would stereotype radio promotions, like strippers, broke, and all this kind of guy.
You guys just partied.
Yeah, and suddenly he's gone, and yeah, just
Well, that
everything
was
seemed
it.
to feel it.
Sorry to interrupt, Matthew, but that was exactly it. Like, what was weird is that Roadrunner, just prior to this, they sent us to Los Angeles to shoot a video for Oblivion, Welcome to Oblivion, and they were winding that up to be like the big push. That was the whole setup of, oh, excuse me, the second record was for that. We had the video in the can and everything, and I think that they were thinking, man, when this merger happens, we're going to get this whole Atlantic arm to help push this. It's going to be massive. And instead, half of them got fired. More than half of them, I think they gutted them. And
Got
and then
shelved.
there's a bean counter the other day saying, okay, wait, how much did we put into each record? And you know, he was just cutting most. I think Roadrunner, most of Roadrunner got gutted. So
Yeah,
you
that's
know,
like when data science became a new role, and most companies started hiring these data scientists, and that was a real bummer because these guys would just
yeah.
like feed numbers into an algorithm and be like, we can get rid of these guys. Yeah, we could chop corners here.
What was that baseball movie with Brad Pitt?
Yeah. Uh, uh, Moneyball.
Moneyball. That's it. I'd be curious to see when that came out.
But it was a in tandem with that was it was a dark period in the band. I mean, we burned ourselves out. We were the kind of band that just toured nonstop. We had Thanksgiving dinner wherever the hell we were at the time, like on tour
Yeah,
in Texas. And we just went from like record to tour to record to tour to record to tour. There was, we st- there started it started to take its toll, as I think it does with every band. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I understood. This is the bit I'm going to be really respectful for, because I appreciate it's probably brings back some hard memories. But I recall seeing in the British papers over here in May 2010 that unfortunately yourself, Matthew, you were caught into up in a fight protecting a woman, and unfortunately results where you ended up in hospital, which is absolutely horrible, and result. And I remember at the time feeling quite numb reading it myself, thinking, "Wow, this guy is." And please don't, you don't need my validation because obviously you are a great human being to have done that, but not many
Thank you.
would have put themselves in that way. And reading that kind of was like, "Wow, this is hard." And then obviously we move. You spend some time in hospital, and we move into 2011 with the news that World War Three is coming out via Sony Records, and obviously you go to promote that album in 2013, and then the hiatus hits after that, which you've just alluded to how this burnout has come in. I imagine with the injury that you sustained and the pending burnout, this just all kind of came together as like a giant ball of fire, right? That it was time to
yeah,
call it a day at that point.
yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
Do you want to speak any further to that, Nathan? I mean,
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, I could just say that. Yeah, I don't think any of us were on stable footing, and obviously
whatever.
the brain surgeries were that was a period that I can't, it's as difficult as it gets. And we I remember we basically were trying to fake our way out of it, almost in a sense, like everything's gonna be great. Look, oh, he's back, he's good, everything's great. And we signed with Sony, and we did a third record, and we went around Australia and Japan and Europe, I think. But by the time we got to Europe, Matthew was getting tired out, like before he should have been.
Mm.
And for me, I was just like, that's it, that's done. I couldn't. put him through it.
No, that's fine. Playing the big brother is absolutely fine. I'm going to move on because I appreciate it's a really dark period, and I wanted to just be really delicate and just touch on it to give people the perspective of the journey of Medina Lake, because it's like I say, it's been a wild ride. It really has. We hit 2017, and obviously after a few years away, social media posts start to appear that there's potentially a comeback for Medina Lake, and then thankfully the UK sees a run of dates in February 2017. How did it feel coming back? I assume obviously elated, happy. Were you nervous to come back after a few years away? Do you feel like it was like the right time, enough time to be awake? Or...
Yeah,
Yeah,
it, correct.
go ahead,
I mean,
Matthew.
well, I just that whole frame time frame is a blur to me. I mean, it's hard for me to to sort of conceptualize what happened and when it happened and for what reason, you know. Um, I think we did the reason we did that tour, is that the Leela the Divine tour? Is that I'm
Uh, no, it
because
was we did the festival.
oh where we had like a
Uh, sl
cardboard
s-
cutout of me on stage.
slam dunk, not slam dunk.
Slam dunk.
Slam. It might have been slam dunk. There's been a few over the years here in the UK. I believe it's
Yeah,
yeah.
I think it was slam dunk, Matthew.
That was it. Okay, right, right. Yeah. Never mind then. I was thinking I was
He proved himself right.
if anyone had any questions about my current brain status.
Right. See, that's what I'm working with here.
It's all good, and then obviously with the comeback, we then moved to 2020 a few years later, which sees the release of some new singles and a new EP, the beginning of New Endings. I'm assuming that the EP itself, if we were talk about that, is the title kind of a deliberate play on the past and the present? The beginning of New Endings. Is that kind of where we're
Yeah,
going with at that point?
yeah.
Evidently.
Um, yeah. The I felt like the initial 2013 ending was just this kind of unceremonious kind of fizzle out, right?
Mm.
And I think yeah, we were just trying to survive. I think for those latter X amount of years, and that always nagged on us, I think. And so when we put together some songs for that EP, um, yeah, I anyways kind of looked at it as let's kind of
You
redo
Dave,
the ending, you know.
Yeah.
you mentioned
The
something
sorry,
something
yeah, go ahead.
like um we throughout our whole lives we've been the kind of people who are like don't we're fine like don't show
Yeah,
any of the the damage
any
behind us.
struggle? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like we're cool, so just
It's a
yeah,
very
we're
Italian thing.
going yeah. But we were a disaster. We had problems you couldn't even imagine, and we're just like, we're good.
Hey, what's not a problem?
Hey, I don't see no, there's nothing wrong with that. So then we were basically we the wheels fell off, and we're like, okay, all right, Mercy, we're not good. And we never felt good about that because we had this very small career in soccer before that, before we started playing music, and the same sort of thing happened. We were plagued by injuries, and it was something we were incredibly passionate about, and we had done it our whole lives. And then it got to the point where we physically couldn't do it anymore, and finally had to just throw in the towel. And I think we've always felt unsatisfied with that. And the same thing was happening with Medina Lake. So we wanted a shot at doing it again, doing it over.
That's fine. Obviously, you don't want that feeling of something else being. If life's taken one thing with that career, don't take this. So
Right. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Life will take whatever it can get its hands on.
Yeah.
This is true.
To be fair, it does take literally everything eventually.
Yeah. Uses lawyers.
Uh, as we're halfway through January, nearly the end of January now, which is crazy. We're hitting the 20th anniversary of Medina Lake. How are you looking back on this? It's been a hell of a ride, as you know we've alluded to in this chat.
Man,
Yeah. Well,
you're
one of
right
the,
about that. Go ahead, man.
I think that's just one of the reasons we're so excited about this tour because it's kind of like a you know should we come up with a new record first and tour on it or should we do like you know what no let's just f and go play and it it has never really felt better um so I think when you have something like this in your life for 10, 15 years plus and then you don't there's just a vacuum in your soul and so
It's a much more enjoyable job than most others too. So it's
yeah,
hard to do other things.
that's true.
But to highlight, to punctuate our career was very polarized. It was like we had a big spike in the UK, Europe, Japan, and Australia. In the States, we had like a very, very slow, you know, slow sort of ascent with a nice little spike and then sort of tapered. And then the UK was like, you know,
Yeah,
so we would, we sold out a tour in the UK, like our first headlining tour there, way before we were ready to tour or ready to headline, I think, if I'm being honest. But we sold out some big rooms. The whole tour was sold out, and we were up in the 3,000 cap rooms. And then we'd fly to start a tour in the States somewhere and play for 12 to 14 kids, So
yeah,
it
Sacramento.
was,
I remember literally that.
yeah,
That
yeah,
was
it was
wild.
fascinating. It's like, so wait, is it working or are like, are we
Yeah.
successful? I told you we weren't. No, but just wait till we go to Japan.
It's it's a weird one, isn't it? Because I think sometimes the market can be oversaturated at times, but in other places it's not, and it just
Yeah.
depends where it lands, I guess. And as you know yourself, guys, some bands don't even get out of year one. So to be looking back and celebrating 20 years is a remarkable achievement, and I just wonder what keeps the drive going. And I think there's a lot of determination in both of you. From sitting down and talking to you now, there's a hell of a lot of determination there. So I'm assuming that's probably one of the factors that keeps this going.
No doubt. And I appreciate it. And I appreciate all of your questions. It's been an
Yeah,
absolute delight to talk to you. But yeah, um, yeah, there is a weird determination in us, and we don't really quit things ever
that's
until we want to or we're ready to. And
yeah, or something forces us off the, like when the
yeah,
wheels fall off.
yeah.
But it's
But I think what the main fuel is, and not to sound cliche or contrived, but is a connection with other people. Like the people that support our music and can relate to it. That's the fuel
I'm
entirely.
glad you mentioned that because I don't think many people would disagree. The last 10 years on Earth have been very bizarre and very lonely, with the lockdowns and all that crap. And now people, working remotely, there's a major lack of human connection, which is very disappointing. And I think that we are very excited. I know that I am, to get out there and be around other human beings and like talk to them and
Yeah.
share a wonderful experience together.
I recall the very first time that I saw yourselves and actually met yourselves was back in 2007 supporting Fight Star. And strangely enough, in my attic, there's a nice little Quran poster that you all signed at times. So I need to pull that
Awesome.
out. That's a
Oh
reminder to myself to
yes,
pull that out and put it on the wall somewhere.
That's
yes.
so cool.
You have such a rich history with this country, the UK. What do you feel makes it so special, that connection, and why do you feel there's that connection? Obviously, is it just
Yeah,
simply as being real and honest with people?
yeah. It's been wild. We were lucky enough to, as kids, our dad took us over, and we were always massive, football fans. Premier League was always, Matthew's always Liverpool. I was always Everton, kind of
Oh
thing.
no.
I know, I know, I know.
Not anymore. Not anymore.
I know, I know. But
Change
listen, that's
hands.
at 5 years old, right? You just pick the red team and the blue team or whatever. And that's
Exactly. You like the
ah.
uniform. It's cool.
But obviously that culture, connected with us right away. And then musically, uh, obviously, nothing needs to be said about how just potent and wonderful of a market it is. But yeah, the people there, you know, they tell it like it is. We try to
Yeah.
tell it like it is, and yeah,
You know, there's there are some very glaring distinctions between the cultures, and one of them that you guys trump America on is sense of humor, and I think that we have the
yeah,
same humor as you guys. Which it doesn't always jive here. You'll get a lot of like, you know, kind but you guys are hilarious.
Obviously the UK run to celebrate the tour is, as I said, literally around the corner. What do you have planned apart from obviously playing songs? Is there a particular way you're going to build the show, build the set list? What can we expect next month?
Well, it's
Nathan, you
funny.
got
Set list
one?
wise, is it been an ongoing conversation with the band, and we've been literally every day. There's about 100 text messages in the little group thing, changing
our
the.
band WhatsApp group is just like
Yeah,
so good. It's so good.
it's just
We lose long war.
a bizarre place, but we're honing in on it, and historically, I'm very
Doesn't matter what
very
we put down, he's gonna play
very
whatever.
precious with the
No, that's fine.
with calling the shots on that. So I have the
Yeah,
final right of refusal.
yeah. So I'm working on wardrobe. He's working on the set list.
Yeah,
I think the honest answer for people is if they want to know and they can get to a show, get to a show.
that'll do it.
Then you will know what the set list
You'll
is.
know without, yeah, no
Yeah,
doubts.
we're gonna play a lot of from them, and then I think we're gonna play some of everything. So
Yeah, little bits of everything, and maybe a new cover or two for fun
yeah,
because we like to do that.
Why not? Why not indeed? Looking back at the 20-year career, if you could pull one highlight, what is the one thing that you're most proud of?
I have a memory of we were on this tour called Project Revolution here in the States, and it's with Linkin Park and My Chemical Romance and Mindless Self Indulgence, and it was like incredible. But we were the only band in a van trailer, and everyone
Mhm.
else had these big buses, and our our van, the AC only worked if it was moving. So we would pull up to these stadiums at like 4 in the morning and on the West Coast, and it was 100 some degrees, and we'd have to take turns driving the van in circles next to this big fleet of buses, just to keep the AC going so the rest of the dudes could sleep. But
all the
on one of
production,
those,
like the guys that
yeah,
would set up the stage, they were the only guys that would be up, and they'd always like throw water bottles at us, like, hey, because they knew someone else was
yeah,
driving circles around them.
yeah. But I remember on one of those drives between shows, we found out that we won, or we were nominated for the Kerrang's Best International Newcomer, and so the label's like, you got to pull over and take a picture, you know, and oh no, they actually, well, they met us there, and we found out we won it, right? Because we had the award. Actually, I have a picture of that moment. I think, yeah, right here.
Look at this
So,
photograph.
yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
If you can see it, I don't know, but
Yeah, that is.
But
Wow, that's that's going back some years, isn't it? Those
it is. Oh
haircuts.
my god! I'm like, who are these kids?
yeah, man, that felt awesome. That's a good one. That's a good one. I just it was such a we had worked so hard for so long, and then with that first shitty band we had to have a record deal and then to get dropped. I mean, we felt like we were against every odd. I mean, it was ludicrous, like the hubris to think that we could make it happen, and then to sort of receive that accolade from a country whose musical um, prowess is so universally respected to be acclaimed from them. That felt really good.
Not a
If I got
problem.
an actual sentence out of all those words.
Bit of a
Well,
run on.
we were happy. We were happy to
Uh,
get to give you the
LOL.
award from the UK. So that's well earned. The album, at the time, the album was fantastic, and it still is. Listening back to it now, as I said, it's still got that hunger, that passion. So it was well
Thank you.
deserved. If if there's one thing you could say to your younger selves, looking with this, knowing what you know now, what would you say? What do you reckon younger Matthew and younger Nathan would say to yourselves now?
I would. Well, I won't be that harsh. I would say enjoy it because it's just gonna go by like everything else in life. I was the guy in the band who always handled all the business shit, the liaison between the label and management and the agent, and I would the whole time it was happening, I was preoccupied with making sure that it kept happening and growing the right way, and I feel like I let it all just go by, you know. So enjoy every moment
Good on you.
happening, like Nathan did, and like our drummer G Weeds did. Like maybe I plan to week or two.
There you go.
Um, what obviously we've got the UK tour. What can we expect from Medina Lake in the future?
We have a
We
run of Anne Berlin dates, right, Matthew, in the States.
yeah,
Um, After that, and then we just obviously we'll be continuing to work on music, and once
we have some festival offers that we're considering, and then another full comprehensive tour of the UK. I know that there's talk about that, and then festival season, and then that, and we'll see how much of that we can do as adoring fathers and complicated life circumstances.
And that's got to be the biggest change, right? After 20 years, 20 years ago when you were starting off, you weren't father. So now that juggling act, as you've just said, juggling children and a touring balances, that's hard.
yeah, it's a lot, man. It's a lot.
Like I'm dreading being away from my little man
Yeah.
for this tour. Like I want to bring him out uh, in the States when we go out with Amberlin, but I haven't told the band that yet. So
I, I think my biggest fear for you both, if you're on tour, is not knowing where and what the kids are going to hide, and
yeah, oh my God, totally. Where's
Right.
my face?
Yeah.
because when you both come back off tour, it's going to be you're going to want a metal detector, a map, Google
No doubt.
everything to find where
You
the
gotta
kids are hid.
you gotta
Oh my
stash
God.
everything.
Yeah, and those two, like when our boys get together, oh my God,
Oh yeah,
they taunt us the way that we must have taunted our parents, you know?
Um, I've got one final question for myself, and this one's quite a I call it a soppy question, but I feel it means a lot. It's quite deep. What makes music so special for you both?
Jeez, that is yeah,
I,
that's gonna
so,
be hard to answer. Go ahead.
I mean, the way that it's like it's like a timestamp for life that at any like at any point in life, you can listen to a song and it will represent a time and a place and a feeling, that a part of your journey as a human, you know, that involves your friends and your family and your girlfriends or, all these wonderful things that you can sort of constantly recall as and when every intense moment in life, there's a song that will take you back to that place when it comes on. So it's an interesting sort of diary, you know.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, real good. Well, it's for my
Nathan
part,
doesn't.
before I tangent uh, too much, just to building on what he said, as human beings, are not only do our bodies and our brains, but our thoughts are actually our energy, right? And and believe it or not, everybody resonates at a certain frequency. So when you connect musically to a song, to other people, especially like in a concert environment or whatever, you tend to harmonize. Your energies tend to harmonize together around that music, and so I think it's ability to bring people together and help people sort through emotional highs and lows, and then yeah, document, timestamp, uh, landmark moments in life. It's just it's a magical thing, as I think everybody and anybody even potentially listening to this knows.
Like the greatest things about life, uh, besides my son, is like when you can lose yourself in something, right? Like time flies when you're having fun because you're not thinking. You're not thinking about anything else. Something is taking you on a journey, and you are escaping your mind. And further to what Nathan was saying, when that happens in a concert environment, you're escaping with the rest of the people in the room to the same destination. And that is quite a potent experience.
That's awesome, boys. Thank you very much. Firstly, congratulations on 20 years. I hope the tour next month goes incredibly well. I'm sure it will. And I can't wait to see what the rest of 2025 brings from Medina Lake.
Thank you so
Thank you,
much,
my
Rob.
friend. Thank you so much. Same.
No,
Congratulations on it.
thank you guys. Thank you for everything. And hope to catch you soon.
No
Yeah,
doubt.
I hope to see you out there. Just reach out if you need, if you're coming to one of the shows and you need some tickets, let me know.
I will do. No, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thank you, Matthew.
Have a great day, guys.
And you take care. Bye bye.
Sweet. Thank you.
Bye.